Watch the whole video to find all the hidden anime girls. What is the stupidest way you've injured yourself? When I was a kid we had blue carpet in the living room. I had just watched some movie or show where the characters jumped into a painting and I started thinking maybe if I believed really hard, the blue carpet would turn into a vast ocean. So I climbed up on the recliner and swan dove into the floor. I'm a welder. I work with really hot steel parts constantly, but I regularly burn myself on the microwave meals I eat for lunch. I don't understand how microwave meals survive the cooking process. My leftovers go in for 1 minute 30 and it sounds like a WW2 airstrike is popping off. Microwave meals tell you to put that shit in for 3 minutes, stir, then back in for another 100 years and they come out fine. Dark magics. Thought I could walk my dog on a leash while riding my bike. Dog saw a squirrel and yanked me off my bike. I broke a few bones in my hand. Doc was like, what did you expect would happen? This reminds me of when we first got our dog and it was my then 7-year-old's turn to take the dog out into the yard on the leash. But my daughter quickly got bored and wanted to climb a tree. She tied the dog's leash to a long jump rope, to another, and climbed. Edit to at, she tied the end of the line of ropes to her waist and climbed. My husband pulled into the driveway in the car. Puppy wildly dashed towards him at full speed. Kid flew out of the top of the tree, landed halfway across the yard, and was dragged the rest of the way. Puppy never broke stride. Bending over to pick up a paper bag. A completely empty paper grocery store bag. It was standing upright, not even laying on the floor. I barely had to even bend down to pick it up. Somehow this triggered a cosmic alignment between 2 vertebrae and nerve cluster because suddenly I fell to the floor in crippling pain. Could not get my back straight and had to crawl to the living room so I could lay on the carpeted floor and try to stretch it out. I ended up ducked up like this for days and had to have physical therapy to slowly work out the pinched nerve. I was basically walking like Quasimodo for a couple weeks. People would assume I was in an accident or lifting some boulder like Hercules or saving a child pinned under a car. But nope. I was undone by an empty paper bag. Drank hot tea lying down. The first thing you learn in British school is to never drink tea lying down. When I was a kid, maybe 10 or so, I had recently discovered that the feet on my prosthetics could be unscrewed and moved into different positions. So I borrowed an Allen key from my dad and took it to school so I could unscrew my feet and show my friends at recess. None of them were as blown away by this as I'd hoped. Pretty sure they were just used to this kind of thing by now, haha. Anyway, the bell went to tell us to go back to class and I very quickly tightened the feet back onto the prosthetics, put my shoes back on, and started making my way back to class. As I was walking with a group of my classmates I started to notice my legs felt wobbly. I looked down, and with every step my feet were turning outward slightly. A normal person would have come to the conclusion, oh, I didn't tighten the screws up enough. But not me. I jumped to the conclusion of holy shit, I can control my feet like a robot. My excitement quickly turned to dread when I realized I don't know how to control feet. Been an amputee since I was a baby and they kept turning until one was pointing sideways. Despite this I kept trying to walk and after a few more steps the foot just fell off and I managed to slam the now footless prosthetic down, which jarred my knee and hips and caused me to slip over and faceplant into the corner of a cement mini wall, one of those waist-high walls. Being a self-respecting 10-year-old I started bawling my eyes out, which caught the attention of the new teacher. It's her first day and the only disabled student is in pieces. The foot got thrown backwards when it fell off, with a bloodied nose, screaming like a banshee. She didn't really know what to do, since I couldn't get back up. So she gave me some tissues for my nose and made a very confused call to the maintenance man asking if he knows how to fix prosthetics so I can get to the school nurse. TLDR, my prosthetic foot fell off and I face planted into a cement wall. I dropped something behind my couch, leaned over the back to pick it up, and cracked a rib. Was in pain for a week. Getting old as hell. To try to get a cheap laugh out of my ex, I threw a hammer as hard as I could at a tree. The hammer bounced off the tree, and I turned just in time for it to hit me in the small of my back. Miracle I'm not paralyzed. I live in Minnesota, so I'm used to kicking snow off my boots by slamming my toe part of the boot down on the ground. Well, it was summer, and I happened to get my running shoes absolutely covered in mud, so I instinctively slammed my toes down on the pavement and broke 4 toes. Shot myself in the eye with a Nerf gun. I looked into the barrel to see if it was loaded. I was 8. Sounds like a supervillain backstory. Oh boy, my time to shine. Age 2, stuck an nail in an electrical socket. 3, ran into a telephone pole while riding my bicycle. Age 7, was playing with a razor blade that my dog had pulled out of the trash and completely sliced off the tip of my finger. Promptly passed out and was found hours later by my mom coming home from night shift. Please don't ask why. I was 7 and very impulsive. 16, had wisdom teeth out. Apparently anesthesia stays in my system longer than normal. A few days go by and I'm sitting in the dining room talking to my mom. Everything starts going black and I manage to utter U-hop before smashing jaw first onto the tile floor. One side of my face was swollen. I looked a bit like a chipmunk. 18, went to grab something out of the trunk of my car. My car was parked in the driveway, which is at a bit of a slope. Reached in to grab something, which I have done many times before with the car. Parked exactly like it was, and the trunk slammed down onto the back of my head. Nice little gash, lots of blood. I managed to make it inside before passing out that time. 20, cleaning kitchen. Go to drain the water after washing dishes, and the sink strainer is stuck. Really stuck. I'm trying to pull it out with brute strength and managed to slice my hand open on it instead. This time I puked instead of fully losing consciousness. 29. Decide to be Betty Crocker and bake homemade bread. The Pyrex either shattered when I took it out of the oven and it hit cold air, or I dropped it. It happened rather quickly, so I'm not exactly sure. But I ended up with glass in my foot. I've just moved here. I know very few people, and my spouse is gone out of town for work. I have 2 small children and 3 big dogs running around the house. Glass literally from the front door to the back door. Managed to get a hold of a neighbor who takes me to the where they attempt to remove it. Notice I said attempt. They sent me home with glass in my foot and told me to contact a podiatrist. They were sure it was stuck in bone or a ligament. I had glass in my foot for 20 hours total, 3 stitches, 3 weeks in a boot. Not fun times. I now wear house shoes in the kitchen. 30, walking across the playground. No holes in the ground, just a normal wood chip covered playground surface, and managed to fracture a bone spur on the top of my foot, requiring surgery months later. Luckily, I already had a podiatrist. I found my dad's EpiPen one day while looking for mouth spray for sore throats. It obviously wasn't what I was looking for, but I wanted to figure out how it worked. I ended up shooting the needle clear through my thumb. I then hid the evidence of my stupidity and never told my mom until years later. Riding my bike home in 5th grade slowly alongside my walking friends. Friend, Drew, look where you're going. Drew, no dude, I'm good at biking, I can do it with my eyes closed. Friend, no really dude, look out. Drew, no man, I'm good. Instantly crashes into a parked car, mess up my bike chain, have to drag my bike home in shame, and explain to my mom why my knee and lip are bleeding. Walked onto a manhole cover that was not placed on correctly. Ended up in the hospital and had to have 3 surgeries over 4 months. Tragedy is when I cut my finger. Comedy is when you fall into an open sewer and die. Mel Brooks. Rode a bike with no shoes and no brakes. Stopping with my foot out of habit and skinned the entire top of my foot. Edit. Thank you everyone for sharing your stories. I've never had a comment this popular. RIP my inbox. Edit 2. Since people are confused as to how I skinned the top of my foot, I'd stop my bike with the ball of my right foot. Usually my shoes provided traction and slowed me down. Since I was going so fast and didn't have shoes, when I put my foot down, the speed made my foot bend forward, top down. Hope that helps. Threw a grape in the air to catch it in my mouth. It fell on the floor and I bent down to pick it up and smashed my face into the windowsill. That actually made me laugh, sorry. Stabbed myself in the leg with a piece of metal. It was really thin and tapered at the tip, so when you swung it, you would hear this really cool whoosh sound. I swung down way too hard and it went right into my shin. Bad times. I did this, but I swung up instead, ripped my forehead. I broke a rib by coughing too hard. I'm just getting over the flu. Did the same thing. Punch myself in the tit while trying to duck around with my sleeves. I don't know how it happens, but it happens often. Having punched, smacked, squeezed, bruised my tits since they grew in. I'm pretty sure they are their own entities. Yes, I spelled it that way on purpose. Was helping husband replace the bathroom fan, so I was standing on the side of the bathtub. I had this plastic hook glued to the shower wall to hang a loofah on. I went to get down and slid down the wall and hooked my butt cheek to the wall. It hurt so bad, but was also hilarious. I'm in my 40s and this happened recently. I was in the 4th or 5th grade, but I jumped down an entire flight of stairs, landed hard and hurt my foot. Walked on it for a day or two afterwards. Turned out I shattered my heel and broke my ankle. I was pulling a heavy blanket up, my hand slipped off of it, and my thumb, with a longish nail, went straight into my eye. I don't know if this is the stupidest way I injured myself ever, but this is kind of funny, and it happened today. I was looking at Ask Reddit and there was a guy who said he had a naked pic on his user page. So I was walking down the stairs from my apartment, and I clicked on the guy's profile and I wasn't prepared for the sheer ridiculousness of the guy's pic. Lol. I missed a step and fell flat on my ass and down about 7 or 8 stairs. But the worst part is an old lady saw me fall and picked up my phone. The naked pizza guy is still on it, and she went to speak and didn't say anything and silently handed me my phone. I can never look at her again ever. My friend saw a jellyfish on the beach, then kicked it, like on purpose, and knowing what it was, they had to go to the level of badass of that jellyfish is through the roof. You are washed up on the shore, so you are on the enemy's territory. It's hot. You are straight up melting. You have no legs or arms to fight back, and yet you do. You poison that little brat straight into the What a legend. I have so many responses to this. My goodness me. Tore a tendon in my finger when tearing a single sheet of paper. Knocked myself out by bumping my head whilst on the Eiffel Tower. Fell off the bed and sprained my ankle whilst trying to remove a moth from my brother's room. Broke my knuckle when I banged my hand against the door accidentally whilst dancing. The list is endless. Held a lighter to my ear to listen for gas flow. Click and there went some hair. Stepped on a pebble. Broke my leg. I have osteoporosis. Broke my 5th metatarsal in my left foot when my heel slid sideways out of a 1 1/2 and wedge sandal. Cartwheeled on my left foot from the heel to my toes. Landed on my right hip 3 months in a walking boot. Tripped over a storage ottoman trying to jump over it all slick. Got my toes wedged in the latch and broke my foot in 2 places. Tried to stand up off the floor of a pub toilet after drunk dialing my ex and tore my knee cartilage. Was on crutches for a couple of weeks after that and ended up needing surgery. I was a dumb kid. I wondered how much it would hurt if I whacked myself in the head with a hammer. It hurt a lot. Edit. Dear God, don't let this be my internet legacy. So how much did it hurt? It's the darndest thing, but I can't remember. I got out of a long hot shower and noticed a thread dangling off of my shirt, and when I tried to pull it out it just neatly sliced through several millimeters of my finger. It was so minor I can hardly even call it an injury, but getting cut by a shirt is definitely the stupidest I've had. Comment what the best or worst story was. Also remember to subscribe for more Reddit and anime girls.